Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Previously, the court was forced to start seriously considering the possibility that there was a fifth passenger on that carriage. And indeed, one thing led to another, and we have uncovered Gina here, a little rapscallion street urchin thief who was apparently present when poor Mr. Mason was killed. But she didn't see anything, at least I think. She was in the hidden compartment underneath one of the seats. The very seat that Magnus McGilded, the defendant here, was sitting on. So we need to figure out her deal. And, yeah, I guess we just get going. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I'll tell you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did. And the scream just came out. It's because of that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. A bang? A bang? Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let the street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I was sat that night. And the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath this seat, I presume. Yes, it does appear to be just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration. Oh. So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking the punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness! What a perfect gentleman! My lord! This fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. Hey! That's 5. Wait, who's the holdout? I think it's her. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Wait. I think I just noticed the color of their seat changes? Did you see that? Oh my god, I must be blind. I'm just noticing the color of their seat changes too. What the hell? Saints alive. All 6 members of the jury consensual in their learning to a verdict of not guilty? Mr. Naruhodo, this... well, it must mean... It must mean what? That we're victorious. No. We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
Oh, come on! This man keeps escalating. How far will it go? Seriously, what is next? First he crushes a glass in his hand, then he throws the glass at the lamp behind him, then he slams his foot down instead of his fist. What is next? Oh my god. If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray do forgive the discourtesy. He put his foot down. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilted's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? Yeah, I do remember that, come to think of it. Ordar? Ordar? How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend. Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examine it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. I wonder how many players he just called out here in this moment. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead, you tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks. Unfortunately, McGilded were after the truth, not a victory. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? It wasn't empty. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as counsel for the defense. But as far as I remember, at least, when I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Be whist. What are you saying now, you daft daw? I thought you were on my side here. What game are you playing? The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles for Steam. Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. But it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. 'Tis not altogether pleasin', fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interests here, lad. Now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That there cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken? Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The Guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer and the pick purse are lying. Yeah, the seat changed. Huh. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers, nothing but cowards, the lot of them. Hear, hear. What? Oh no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Quite so. I must concur here. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. Well, I'm really glad I ended the last video where I did. It was either that or get to here at this point. Boy, that would add on another 14 minutes. Oh boy. Anyway. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses just like always. You've done this before.
Hold it!
So you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run. Well, yeah, I mean, what's the point of spending a joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, innit? We get it, you're British. No, wait. This is not British, no. This is British. I suppose she means there's no point spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And 1 little scapegrace riding for free. The red conch of a driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment, full of equipment for the coach, no? Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you.
It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue.
But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night.
Hold it!
A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on me own in the God Pyramid at least some of the time. The God? On me own in the God Pyramid at least... What?
I beg your pardon? Did you say God permit?
Oh yeah, well that's what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away. That's it, only that night. This cove was sat on me seat from the start. And he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck.
Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while the events unfolded in the enclosed cabin?
Yeah. Right, mister? To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift a cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you? So this Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. I'll tell ya, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all. Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can't have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time the passengers plant themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, this 'ere Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head. And for that reason you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out, I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages, so it's Obson's choice. Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. Well, the Gilded would be a huge mark to target. This was planned, I think. So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I had just stick it out under there. Nothing else for it. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out me skin, I did. and the scream just came out.
Hold it!
When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily. That's right. Then I felt the cushion over my head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes. Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim. Could it not? Well, I mean, we're talking about a thunk, then standing up.
Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment?
Yeah, I saw it. Huh? I pushed up the cushion and had a quick butcher's while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the bloke what had fallen on the floor on the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilded's account, of course. But then, the fellow suddenly turns round and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. Should never have risked looking. It's because of that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind.
Hold it!
And when Mr. McGilded discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place. I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason. Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit and he ended up falling onto me. Oh, how awful. Both my hands got covered in blood. Made me feel sick as a dog. Hello. Both her hands covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilded for a while. Is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know me name and what I was up to and that. Then I heard something from above. Someone screamed.
Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck, one would presume.
Are you telling me that Lady First saw the lady first? Oh, brother. Well, I didn't want no one seeing me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartish, and this here Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear that they are all still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch the verdict we want. Yes, I think you're right. And I have this annoying feeling. I don't like that word. Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Let's take this bit by bit, so we really do need to find a contradiction here. Let's see. So you got the body arranged like that. That's how it was found. Yeah, hold on. The story is that, Gina Lestrade, she was sat next to the corpse. So, using this image as reference, Gina would be sitting there on the left, with a bit more space between her and the body, I assume. She says that at some point the body fell on her, and because of that her hands got covered in blood? If it would fall on her, it would like slump over and the body's shoulders would... just his right shoulder would bump into her. Why would she need to get her hands bloody to push him back? His shoulder has no blood on it. In point of fact, he's wearing a white shirt to most clearly distinguish, yes, there's no stain on it, aside from some dirt, as you can see here. I think that might be what I want to do here. Yeah, something isn't right here. Oh crap, the bloody hands aren't even in this cross-examination. Crap! Well, let's set that aside for now. Okay. Okay, so I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses just like always. Sure. It was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. Sure. I'll tell ya, you can't see a... Hold on. No. Not sure. I'm not sure at all. You got nothing for your troubles that night. And yet you were palming that golden coin. The gold guinea. And it's identical to the one that McGilded was also carrying around. I think at some point you must have pickpocketed McGilded while he wasn't looking. Can I really say that she did that, though? I'm not sure. I'll tell you, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Sure. Then after a while I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin I did, and the scream just came out. A bang. Because of that, this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. Uh-oh, it's happened. It took until the third game here, the third case here, but I'm stuck. I have hit my first brick wall in this game. Oh joy. The solution is not jumping out to me at all. Let's read this one more time with Susato. So they're talking about the jury. A conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony. Something... The thing is, I think whatever the testimony here that I need to show evidence, I think it's contradicting the statement said earlier in this case, and unfortunately, I don't play these in long sessions as far as visual novels go. I play like 1 hour a day, maybe 1 hour every other day. If I have a little buffer to go on in terms of upload schedule. Sometimes I remember things very well, sometimes I just plain forget. I don't want to hazard any random guesses, because, for starters, I don't even know the first thing to try if I were to guess. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. Is there something there? You know, there's that one statement, you can't see a thing in that hiding place, it's pitch in there. I need to look closer. Open up. Was there always ketchup on the floor? That's blood, isn't it? Something wrong? Oh, it's just, well, this bloodstain is so obvious, that's all. And yet Van Zieks has made no mention of it. Who's a what? I suppose that does seem a little strange. Oh. Son of a bitch, someone tampered with the crime scene. When, how, what, where, why? I don't have such a bad feeling about this. Huh? There's no way that was there before, that's new. But about the seat. Oh, well, look at that. It would be impossible for an English gentlewoman to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. Well, there's that window conundrum we were talking about, huh? A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. A woman's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? That's why more women should wear pants and more men should wear skirts. So it's pitch dark in there. And yeah, there's... This is a storage compartment. There's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't feel right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Okay, look. Someone tampered with the space in here. Someone poured ketchup on this floor. What else has changed? Back outside into this 3D model viewer. Into the nice baby poop green void. I don't see anything under the carriage. Nothing strikes me as different up top. Okay. Can I apply any of this new information to any of these lines? Okay. I re-examined the evidence. I have read and reread all of these. I genuinely have no idea whatsoever what the game wants from me here, so in the interest of saving time, I'm going to do my time-honored tradition and look up the answer. Be right back. Right, so, what it said to do was to press every single statement, and then you press the third statement a second time? What? We'll see.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all? Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher's at whose I'm gonna fiddle. Thought you were a pickpocket. Well, okay, we've seen all this.
Well, now.
Huh? Why is it different this time? Sure enough, there's a... Huh.
Excuse me.
Right, so usually I'd be totally happy to risk my 5 pips of health, my, disciplinary? No. Penalties. Normally I'd be happy to risk my penalties if I knew what to even try and attempt some tree to bark up of. But no, I was in a desert. There was no tree to bark up anywhere. I don't understand why it would do this. How weird. Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps. You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no. 'Twas not important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, so it was. I see. Yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe. Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything, an unusual noise, perhaps? Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. But jabbers, there is no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp. What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something that might have given us a vital new clue. Yes. What should we make of her last statement of hers? Well, as I like to say, the absence of something is in itself a vital clue. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important.
Profoundly important, but all she said was that she heard nothing.
Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it.
I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless... Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please.
What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do, but it won't work on me. That's right, insult the judge. Always a good move. I was straightening my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring.
Hold it!
So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then, when I saw the swell getting on, I got me head down so he didn't notice me. And Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah, would you Adam and Eve it, eh? What a mug. So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out there as soon as I heard him leave, you see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his pigs to market, snoring like an old dog he was. Well, that's interesting. How the hell did Mr. Mason get on that carriage? Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? It doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. Ah!
At odds? Are you sure, ma'am?
Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Zieks realized it too.
Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least.
That's what I need. Yes, my lord.
I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court.
According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. A person. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person. One thrice-fired Mason. Yeah.
Take that!
Thrice-fired Mason.
Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Nailed it.
Ordar. Explain your reasoning, counsel.
Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time. Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't it? Waiting for this swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage?
Oh!
We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statements about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed.
Lord Van Zeeks.
Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. Uh-oh. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. Oh no. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever.
And this girl is a pickpocket, let's not forget that.
Granny, no! Oh, it's 4-2 now, or 2-4. Ah, she didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars.
And neither can I.
Mr. Foreman?
I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars.
Ugh. Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Oh, he's actually drinking. Neat. Yes, very refreshing. Arg! Garg! What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadan? What? This is carnage, it's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going... I know, if we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilded's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. But those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. A skylight, even. Yeah, I'm starting to suspect that the body was dropped through the skylight. Somehow. We need to inspect it very carefully and make sure it can't pop open. What are you saying? Counsel? I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean?
Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself at once.
When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand.
And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage.
If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? There is only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. There's another entrance. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other has only windows. Fixed windows which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no entrance to the cabin other than the door.
Objection!
But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin.
All right, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here is the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim enter the cabin?
Yeah, it's... There's no other place it could be.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. Nailed it.
I say, the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However,
Objection!
the skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor.
Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with a dagger.
Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise, as witnesses describe? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact.
Good gracious.
Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellas who were sat on the roof that testified afore said none of the victim fallen through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that is not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would yous not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my goodness, surely not. Those two chaps on the roof?
You mean the ones who stuck that knife in the man were...
Ugh. You know, now that I think about it, now that I think about it, take yourself a real good look at that mustache. It's shaped like a very familiar sight, wouldn't you say? Could be an M for McGilded. It could be a W for, Waluigi. No, it would be, what's his full name? Bruce Fairplay. Well, quite conspicuously, neither of them have an M or a W in their names. Maybe they just stole the knife from McGilded, I don't know. Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer? Sir, what are you... I don't even understand what he's supposed to be doing. Imitating a horse, but... that is one weird impression of a horse. You rotter, he said. You rotter! What are you insinuating?
This is a flaming outrage. Have a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute.
He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I. Mr. Fairplay.
You're effectively accusing me, a sitting gentleman and well-respected banker.
And me, a very angry hatter.
Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. It's arg. I protest. I protest in the strongest possible terms.
That's right, I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel.
Ordar. This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once.
But this is beyond reason, my lord. Arg, it's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment.
Go ahead, Lord Van Zieks.
It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? I never intended to... It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You propose to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British courts of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow.
We have to see this matter through now, one way or another.
If there is filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Yeah. Oh, what's happening, Mr. Naruhodo? The spectators in the public gallery are... they're in a complete frenzy.
Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First?
My lord?
You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony. In reference to the indictment brought by the defense.
Yes, my lord. He's suddenly really nervous. I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is pushing forward. Well, how about that? Oh, it looks like McGilded and possibly Lestrade are going to be on the stand too. We can possibly get a reaction from them somewhere along this route. Neat. Well, you know the drill. A new testimony to crack, a new place to stop. Quite serendipitous. We've ended like this 3 videos in a row now, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was feeling like it was going this way, but all the same, I can't help but swear that way earlier in this case it was said that the rooftop hatch could not open? I guess we'll see about that one way or another, but... So would this mean, if this is true, if the body actually was dumped in there, would that mean... I think it could go either way if they were both accomplices or if it was just one person. We know Fairplay has motive. He owes a huge debt to McGilded. Being able to frame McGilded for a murder would be huge. It would just make McGilded go away, make his debt go away. But I forget who was sitting where. I want to say it was Mr. First who... Yeah, that's right, we just talked about it in this video. He saw the lady first. He was the one who saw the scream. And if he was sitting in the front of the carriage, I mean, he would have to swivel his entire upper body around and then look through the skylight. Which, come to think of it, would mean that... Yeah, my god. Yeah, Lestrade with her bloody hands. She would be sitting directly beneath the rear seat of the rooftop. And Lady First was saying that he saw the bloody hands and that's why he screamed, so... Yes, he swiveled around to look inside, which is such a weird thing to do. And the only reason he would do that, I think, was to help Fairplay's plan. Fairplay stabs Mason, tosses him in, and then Lady first screams and alerts Beppo. I think they were both in it then. Or, hell, you could say that if they really are working together, then it was Fairplay in the front seat, and he saw the bloody hands, and then he collaborated that story too first to get their story straight for court. But that feels like a layer that's a bit too complex for Ace Attorney writing. No. Yeah, there's something real shady about these two. Well, I do certainly look forward to cracking this mystery. But who knows, we might actually be really close to finishing this. We're breathing down the necks of the true culprit, parentheses, S, close parentheses. I'm not gonna be foolish enough to say we might finish this case tomorrow. I always say that whenever I get the feeling it's never friggin' true. I played enough Ace Attorney games to know that by now. I have learned the lesson. I feel like it could end, therefore it's not gonna end tomorrow, but all the same I look forward to playing more. I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.